Those who understand the reality of life know that the most frightening thing is not death, but it is endless resurrection, which does not leave even after death. Here, every person is confined in an iron box prison, tortured for 25 hours every day, and even after death, they are brought back to life again and again. You were feeling dizzy, the lightning had burnt you to ashes, and the next moment you woke up empty with a dim light. But everything inside was empty. That pride of yours, the late-stage cultivation of golden core was completely over. Now you were a normal human from head to toe. There was a man in front of you who was irritated. Chill brought. Why don't you fuperate? Why don't you say? Then suddenly from the ceiling, several thick, the mechanical arms came down. They threw the man to the ground. I made a mistake. Don't electrocute. No. Bang. A flash of blue light. You huddled in the corner and watched as the man began to be tortured with high voltage, mercilessly. Seconds later, the pungent stench of burnt meat filled the air. He stood in front, looking like a clean and tidy Miaojong person. You hadn't even recovered from your passion yet. That new Danbin turned his head and smiled at you. According to the rules, it was clear. He must extract his identity. Then the mechanical arms of the tower would have permanently eliminated me. His tone changed. He stared at him. Now it is his turn. He looks up, and boom, the mechanical arms returned. He hesitated before reacting. He was pinned to the wall. Denbin slowly turned towards a hidden compartment. If you take out the tools to resurrect torture, you will die of hunger and thirst along with torture. Satisfied that he would be resurrected again, he picked up the red-hot tool. Without a moment's pause, I branded your chest. SSS. Ghost instantly the smell of burning entered my nose. How did it feel? Dan Bin came forward panting, ready to confess now. But there was not a single wrinkle on your face. You looked at him as if you were looking at garbage. Your cultivation was gone. But that terrifying divine soul of yours, formed over hundreds of years of the golden core period, was still there. Blocking pain was as easy as breathing for you. Physical torture was just that. That was Dan Bin's answer. Was doing this, all my arrogance vanished. I just started touching the ground, brother. Teach me, Dada, please. Teach me how to block pain. I will do whatever you say. Pain blocking, which was torture, suddenly became a pleasure. You gave this poor guy a blowjob from below, without forgetting, without losing. Endless torture, always conscious. Living was more terrifying than dying. No wonder your pain-blocking ability broke it instantly. And according to the same calculation, in some year, in some minute, if in that minute only one person with Chain's surname is born, then the conditions will be met. And blinding red numbers flashed. It reached 53%. Then jumped up. He woke up with a start, panic returning to his face. No, he couldn't talk to her. He picked up the tools and started rubbing against your body again. The number on the display increased to 54%. He saw Dinvin's eyes were red. He shouted, "As long as I torture you, this number keeps increasing. My mission is to never let it drop below 50%. If I fall, the blood-skin hand will permanently eliminate me." He was drinking a heavy half. He held the tool tightly. "For this, I have to torture you for 15 hours every day. Every day he gets completely wiped out. Food and water do not form a formation. It's not okay. I'll take a few hundred. When the number reaches 50%, wake me up. Sleep peacefully." You said in a cold voice. After 3 hours, your mortal body was full of wounds. In the end, even that could not be healed. Your eyes went dark, and you left. And that time was now. Without a moment's delay, you bent your fingers like knives and frantically pressed the acupuncture points all over your body. Blood burning technique. This secret technique you stole from the cultivation world, burn your entire life essence. Exert maximum power. Golden mist burst forth from every pore. The body was modeled, but in this one instant. You went out of the room for Profan, but this body of yours outside was not of any living being. Again, he was standing right in the middle of the same room. In front of you was the alloy door that you had broken with all your life force. He said, "Absolutely not. Not even a scratch." The tower's high command didn't even bother to come. Like that incredible strike of yours was nothing more than a dust mote. He kept staring at that door. The chest rose and fell rapidly. It was impossible to escape from here. Danbin was in the corner looking at you like a monster. After a while, it emerged from his mouth. "Dude, how did you manage to get out for a moment?" "Theory exists. Rescue this reset and a dead world outside." He stood against the cold wall. A chilling smile spread across his lips. Fighting directly leads to a dead end, so they decided to exploit the rules. You looked at Danbin and said in a casual tone, as if you were talking about dinner, "He is planning to go into deep sleep." Danbin's mug remained open. "How can this happen? My spiritual soul is far above that of an ordinary human being." He didn't bother to explain the basics of immortal cultivation. The plan simply told me that I can actively erase my consciousness and go into conscious sleep. In that state, there will be no awareness of the outside world. Even if tens, hundreds, thousands of years pass in the tower, it will feel like a moment to him. He stared at him and turned toward him. A mutiny could occur in the tower. Someone from outside will come to rescue. He must be terminated immediately. The tower will reset him as soon as he dies, and he would wake up. The meaning was clear. He waits for someone to come from outside. Dinbin laughed bitterly. "It is better that I pray that the coffin collapses." This was just anecdotal, but if there's any chance, this is our only card. Then he placed a bet. "If you can keep an eye on me and control the situation, then when we escape, I will teach you cultivation." Flying in the sky, crossing the ground. All those days, Bin's eyes suddenly lit up. Over the years, your abilities had forced him to worship you like a god. "If any change occurs in the deal, I will immediately terminate it. That's it. Nothing else." You close your eyes. And a technique force that only the great cultivators of the divine transformation stage could do. Separation of the spiritual soul, even at the seventh turning of the golden baby stage. Crossing boundaries and executing this technique was extremely dangerous. But this is his biggest advantage here. He tried to escape endless torment. His head snapped up in a flash. No movement. Danbin gathered his courage and came closer to check your breathing. He was breathing, not completely dead. More than 10 years passed in that iron box where even sunlight did not reach. Time was a joke. Until that day came when I opened my eyes after being rejected and a red countdown appeared on the electronic screen on the wall. You woke up Dinbin, who was snoring in the corner, and said, "Wake up. Look at the screen." Dinbin opened his eyes. His face went completely white as he saw those numbers. It was over. It was all over. The moment had come. The next cycle had begun. He fell to his knees, clutching his paws. His brother, Flies, blocked the pain. He couldn't really teach. That was a lot of requests, Surilaya. It was not an excuse. A mortal body cannot be imprisoned. Union-level spiritual techniques. The light in Dinbin's eyes went out completely. He fell to the ground like a squirrel. Despair lingered in his breath. He took advantage of the last moments. You asked the question that had been on my mind for a long time. Why did you work so hard? Is this the reason for changing your blood? What was behind it? Dinbin's eyes were blank. She replied succinctly. Successfully reject a new guy. Your age increases by a year or two, and you remain silent. The countdown ticked second by second. With 30 minutes left, Dinbin completely broke down. He bit his face and cried like an animal before being slaughtered. Heartbreaking sobs emerged. It remained a no-go for 20 years. In the next cycle, they will brutally torture me for 20 years. He wishes for this to end once and for all. You watched silently, as it was a helpless struggle against the absolute power of the weak. With 5 minutes left, Dinbin suddenly raised his head, his face filled with tears and a runny nose, like a drowning man grasping at the last straw. He glared at you and yelled like a madman, as if afraid you might forget a single word. "My name's Dinbin." It started burning like this. No resistance was possible. You and Dinwin both turned to ashes. Resurrected. Surname Chin. From this exact starting point, I can calculate the 60th moment of the next cycle. And what will you get from calculating it? You asked in a cold voice. How will we escape from here? Evading the guard's attention. They can't do anything. The clock kept ticking. Having heard about the station, Liu raised his voice. She slowed down, excitement thrumming in her tone. He was up there in space. There are survivors who have escaped from the tower. In the space station, his mind reacts instantly. He reached the breaking point and then committed suicide. People there gave him clever results. He hit his thigh hard. More than escape. Stealing people from space station tower. He said, panting. The station's machine starting from 1900. It sorts by class and birth date, resurrecting all of humanity with brute force. It is only necessary that the station calls your name at that exact moment. If you give your life here, and both sides agree, then you'll be sucked straight into space, out of this hell. But you immediately spotted the weakness in this plan. The probability is very low, you said, smiling dismissively. Billions, trillions, people in history. This is no less than winning the lottery. Yes, it was a 1 in a million chance. Liu's eyes were fixed on him, bloodshot. Some people have been stuck here for 1,000 years and haven't found a connection window even once. But this is the only hope. We will have to gamble. You looked at him coldly. What the real plan is doesn't depend on the people. A sly glint flashed in Lisiu's eyes. He spoke very loudly. He wondered how the seconds would be known. What were you thinking when I was writing numbers on the ground like a madman after being resurrected? Leonie smiled wryly. He was my absolute reference point. The electronic display on the wall was showing August 15th, 61:49, 2:22 and 50 seconds a.m. This display decreases by 1% every 36 minutes. This is our clock. The station's rule is to resurrect 10 people every minute. Input all this data and you can exactly calculate when they will call your name. Silent gas has formed inside him. In 1,000 years of practice, you had seen only countless masteries. But in terms of intelligence, this ordinary-looking man was a real monster. उसने 17, 614, 30, 1 को गणना किया. परिणाम 17 वर्ष 6 महीने 30 दिन था. His record, Chenfan, was dated February 15th, year 6141. He added after 10 minutes. May not be precise to the second due to manual on impression errors, but keep adjusting the state continuously within that minute. This will definitely work without wasting any time. You clenched your fist towards him. I surrender to that mind. And then that time came. December 31st, 6,141 minute to 1 minute. Liu had only an hour left before his appointment. You took out tools from a hidden storage space and weighed them in your hand. He was ready for action at every moment. You continued. It was a race with fate. You gave Zong all your strength. For the third time, you seriously wounded him. A few seconds later, resurrect. Liu, born in 1980. The mechanical voice echoed again, but this time, as the light dissipated, the room was completely empty. No one was there. The electronic voice played on a jammed tape for the next 2 days. You were not given a new cellmate. You sat quietly staring at the screen. After 6 minutes of escaping, that moment has come. I will not play with you anymore. A fierce glint in your eyes. You took a powerful blow on yourself. And without stopping for a moment, suddenly there was a shift. That familiar sensation. The formation's ability to push you back into shape is gone. In its wake, an unbearably violent pulling force grabbed your soul and began to pull it upwards. You broke through the metal ceiling of the cell. His soul continues to rise. In this swift ascent, for the first time, you saw the full picture of that hell, the one that haunted him for over 10 years. Just as you looked around, an animalistic roar pierced your ears. You looked to the side and saw a newly resurrected human rolling on the ground like a rabid animal. The poor fellow's brain had been shattered by the torture in the tower. The professional smile was flawless. Vows were taken. You laughed coldly, in a flat tone. Almost 20 years is not a short time, sister. There were sounds of inhalation in the room. Yancey's gaze turned to you. Behind his astonishment, there was a bare mask of frenzy. 20 years. It is the best deal he can get. Gave him a direct SG rating. Any objection could lead to a good job. No, he answered straight away. Nam Chunfen acted without hesitation. According to his explanation, resurrection formation is linked to the identity of the soul. So it doesn't matter if the name is real or fake. Okay, Chenfen, what skills did you know before? Yancey looked at them intently. This will decide their class. Their mind was spinning rapidly. In your old life, you were an imposing figure in the cultivation world. It would have been nonsense to do with great luck. Do you know anything about herb cultivation? You chose the closest option. Spirit plant cultivator. This is a profession, a technical job on the space station. If done wrong, you will face dire consequences. Yancey frowned but registered in foreign fail. Half an hour later, she took you in the hard living room to John. In front was a metal corridor that stretched as far as the eye could see. Your house is just an iron capsule of 4 square meters. There was a public area downstairs. No privacy at all. Reproduction was actually illegal in this place. Everyone lived too long. Who cared about fun? Survival was the mother instinct. He had no choice but to resign. And then he stood at the capsule door and said very seriously, "Listen, every expense on the space station depends on points. Food, drinking water, bathing, everything deducts points." He pointed to the ventilation grate above. Not just that, breathing also uses oxygen. He was sent back to tower prison. Yan replied in a stern tone. He was to be reactivated in the tower. It takes hundreds or thousands of years to... And I also need luck. Saying this, he suddenly lowered his voice. He came close to them, But if they worked hard, he saved millions of points whenever he could. If he dies accidentally, his space station is at risk. Using points, you can buy time day and night. He will call his name and awaken the force. You immediately understood that points are life. No wonder these people work like crazy. Thanks for letting me know. You responded so casually. He narrowed his eyes, studying your sharp profile, and then smiled softly, an intriguing glint in his gaze. He admired his efficient style. If you are bored tonight, contact me anytime. He has added it to the terminal. Saying this, he walked away with light steps. He looked back once as he left. Nothing stirred inside him, but he felt like laughing sarcastically. परंपरागत खेती विकल्प में सामग्री, अल्केमी फर्नेस, आध्यात्मिक औषधियां और अंधेरे खेती को परिष्कृत करना शामिल है. Next morning, you arrived with Yanni in the green area on the lowest level of the space station. Various crops and algae grew here, specifically for generating oxygen and treating wastewater. Yanni wore a special outfit today to attract your attention. Knee-high stockings, a youthful honor, also doing. What were you doing last night? She suddenly stopped in front of you as she walked. A little frustrated, I sent so many messages and no one replied. Why are you so aloof? I am looking good today. You did not even bat an eyelid. Your gaze was so cold and bony. Stop talking nonsense. I will be very busy from now on. There is no time for romance. I appreciate your good intentions. He helped record his facial information. No escape. Go and work like a pawn in the lower levels. He said hello. The screen flickered. A black figure covered with heavy pixels appeared. Clearly some high-ranking officer of the space station. You're a Chenfan, the file says. You know about culture. The voice of that shadow was mechanically cold. No, a little bit, you replied in an arrogant tone. It is just a screen. You understand? I know what I know. Its anti-inflammatory properties strengthen it. The taste is mild. The nature is cold. It can be eaten. Have you ever seen that thing that's stuffed in every drain? Is it hard to find? You asked. And you, Commander, earn 1,000 points a day without doing any work. 1,000 points. You laughed inside and dismissed him. Because from the moment you, infant core stage cultivator foundation, cultivation chal raha hai. It was as easy for him as drinking water. In just a few breaths, the spiritual energy of those plants started being drawn in forcefully. It turned into streaks of white mist. It spread through his pores. He began to frantically enter the dantian. A whirlpool as big as a hen's egg suddenly formed. Just a little more quickly, and you gritted your teeth and prepared to push yourself forward, to break the threshold of initial refinement. Then suddenly he asked, "Excuse me, are you Chenfan?" Completely unexpected masculine voice burst from behind. Your eyes suddenly opened. You cursed inside. You suppressed the madness in your eyes, turned around and looked. Yes, it is me. Say whatever you want to say quickly. In front of you was a man in a spotless black suit. I never thought about bringing it back to the meaning. He paused for a moment, his eyes narrowing. Seeing your reaction, the man became even more furious. When we, the people of the logger class, die, Bangs has been returned to Tower Prison. They keep suffering, but the people above, they have monopoly over all the elite resources. You kept watching silently with cold eyes. No reaction. The man in suit suddenly came to Kadib with quick steps. The entire space station has 3 levels. We are on the 3rd level. Pawns. We earn points by risking our lives. You lived in the tower for 20 years and received an S-level evaluation. You're not ordinary. The man in the suit glared at you. Separation needs people like you. Don't answer now. First, I'll give you some information as a gift. He froze his voice. 2 dim emergency lights remained. The space station doesn't have enough electricity. Work area lights and cameras are turned off at night. He took advantage of this moment to find them. So the man in the suit looked towards the lobby. Then he turned and disappeared into the darkness. The sound of his footsteps quickly faded away. The cameras are on, and the sky is on his side. By feeling the spiritual aura plant cross familiar power, he jerked his eyes open. A golden flash burst through his pupils. He raised his right hand. It was placed 10 meters above the ground, pointed to that vermilion yellow spirit grass. He gripped him tightly, as if countless invisible hands held together. The spirit herb moved without wind. Crossing space, it fell straight into your hand. He pocketed the herb, both hands in pockets, as if nothing had happened. He took long strides. He headed towards the housing area. He arrived at his accommodation. The door opened. Your eyebrows furrowed immediately. Someone was sitting on the bed. That is, he was dressed in bright, elegant clothes. His head bowed. His hair was disheveled. And Nazar, seductive. What is he doing? You asked expressionlessly. You were not responding to messages. He logged in using his terminal password. Yanni made no attempt to hide his intentions. He reached out and started unbuttoning his shirt. What are you doing inside? A harsh curse came out of your mouth. This woman has been sitting here for half an hour. If the spirit herb in her pocket is not refined now, her spiritual aura will dissipate. Who has the time to do any forbidden work with it? I was about to throw her out in anger when suddenly the ceiling light flickered violently, and there was a sharp crackling sound of electricity. Your tone was violent. You instinctively lunged toward the metal staircase outside. Your room was at the highest point of the hallway. He was 10 meters from the ground. It would take at least half a minute to climb down the ladder, and a tentacle of a burnt fish had already broken through the wall next to you and was heading straight towards you. There was no time to catch me. You fell around Yancey's thin, smooth waist. He read it. It had completely changed, started dissipating at speed. This space station doesn't even have a decent laser rifle, you said with a grim expression. No weapon will work, he whispered to Yancey. Yancey clutched the corner of your clothes desperately, his voice shaking like a sieve. Physical attacks and energy weapons were his undoings. It would pass directly through bodies, as if they don't even exist without one. That feeling of being trapped by a counterattack. A violent pain throbbed in their chest. Rage flared up, if it was still his. He sensed a spiritual past life. Cultivation would have been, these were some jellyfish. There was nothing. Only Dharma materials remained. They don't even deserve to be refined. But right now, you just keep watching as they absorb. Finished and emitted an ethereal song. Then their bodies went from solid to ethereal and vanished into thin air. Transformation from real to virtual. Spatial teleportation. You saw the place where the jellyfish disappeared, but I clenched my fist tightly. In this dangerous place, weakness is the original sin. We have to become strong as soon as possible. आध्यात्मिक ऊर्जा को वनस्पति क्षेत्र से निकाला जाता है. यह ऊर्जा शैवाल और जड़ी बूटियों को चार्ज करके शुद्ध की जाती है. The hard work of the breath training stage was as easy as eating and drinking for a reborn old monster of golden core like you. Finally, after frenetic training, your body's energy is completely replenished. You have made a breakthrough to the mid-level of breath training. This puncture was taken just as it was time to leave the vegetation zone. This woman became quite docile in 2 weeks of cohabitation. She didn't attack anymore, but her gaze towards you was becoming increasingly strange. God, your appearance has changed. She came closer to your face, her expression filled with disbelief. The cultivation process purified your skin and hair. There was a significant improvement in your skin and aura. You looked at her and made a joke. Why? Do you like her more now? It was a joke, but Yang uncharacteristically didn't respond, just stared at you, her tone uncharacteristically serious. At first, I just thought it was good lol. Call your partner aside for a moment. The man in the suit gestured towards Yangtze. You put your hand on Yi's shoulder. Go first. Yangtze was discerning, looked at you intently, and walked away. You are definitely not ordinary. He wondered whether she was watching. The suited man took a half step back, raised his hands, and let out a forced laugh. Relax. You performed so remarkably in this chaos. It is normal that we noticed. There is no ill intent. He said, okay, while averting his cold gaze. उत्साहपूर्वक एक महत्वाकांक्षी योजना प्रस्तुत की गई. नवीनतम मॉडल का मैकेनिकल पावर्ड आर्मा, जिसकी अधिकतम थ्रस्ट 10.5 SUV है. Phantom pain? Yes, the brain still feels pain in the amputated body part, even though it's gone. A very common after effect is lingering fatigue. Hearing this, a cold, mocking smile came on your lips. It is ridiculous to dwell on such absurd schemes. Leaving aside the great topic of cultivation, the ultimate weapon of immortals is, in the best case, equivalent to the combat power of the foundation stage of a cultivation world. And on top of that, those damned phantom pains every day. Mechanical armor looks even more laughable. No matter how tough the metal shell is, it cannot stop him. The pilot remains fragile inside. You want to make me a pile of scrap metal by getting rid of my cultivation. This is the biggest absurdity in the world. It's done. You interrupted with extreme impatience. Their gaze was as cold as ice. He has no interest in that junk at all. He only needs 3 things. COC, Hussein, and Daji were the last 2. He thought the older, the better. This is his only objective right now. Green market herbs can cover most substitutes, but fusion and taint are irreplaceable. Suit stunt remained. Frowning his eyebrows, he thought for a long time. It's easy enough to spend points and buy from special markets, but the 2 Chinese herbs he mentioned remain a mystery. She won't be found anywhere in the entire space station. There is only one place where that mysterious first level exists. He also takes them to the first level. Your tone was firm. There was no scope for negotiation. This is impossible. The man in the suit laughed bitterly. In our federation, even the highest-ranking person operates only up to the second level. The first level was unreachable. But there was a shift in his tone, a cunning glint in his eyes. But if you really want to find them, there is a place where you will definitely find them. How to get to the point? You came straight to the point. Exploration ships go to the surface to transport supplies. The man in the suit immediately took the bet. Join us. I can get you a spot on the surface. But Earth's surface is filled with abyssal sentinels, extremely terrifying creatures. Even laser weapons can't send their shells through. Understood. You rejected all external interference throughout the month. No matter how capricious Yang is, you've got him through the door. He mercilessly blocked his opponent. It represented completely frangible ascetic cultivation. The last burst of spiritual energy entered your body and you opened your eyes. Suddenly, the air around you shook. The things in the room moved back half an inch. Late stage of spiritual energy refinement. Achieve. Now, not only spiritual power, but also increase. First, upon reaching the surface, our separatist organization's task is to reject the designated person using rejection, based on the matrix created from the patterns we provided. I'll reveal the name when I reach the bottom. But there are two places you should never go to, even if you lose your life. The first is the ruins of the ancient cities. It's full of big people who have gone mad because of the resurrection. Jana means moth, and the second is an enormous mass which looks like a human nucleus. Those thalamic sentinels are very dangerous at night. They all sleep inside during the day. If you encounter it, turn around and run immediately. Good luck, Chenfan. The hatch is closed. You sit in the pilot's seat. No fear in your eyes, just a fanatical yearning. For power, you pull the thrust lever. Earth, coming. 10, 9, 8. Take off again. April 3rd, 641. Pa. You just took one look, and a surge of resistance arose from within you. You immediately turned your face away. You too have felt it. The voice of the man in the suit came in the headset really, after looking at him twice. The whole body starts feeling sick. This is spiritual. All those twisted, asymmetrical designs, completely opposite of divinity. You suppressed your discomfort with a shudder and an angry tone. By the time you finished talking, the tugboat hit the ground heavily. As the hatch opened, a dense, impenetrable spiritual energy instantly surrounded you. Every pore opened. Staying here for a day was equivalent to 10 days of ascetic cultivation at the space station. There was no time to waste a moment. The water came out. I scanned all around. Nothing anomalous was seen. I raised my hand, and the extraction equipment was deployed. The drill was firmly sunk into the ground, complete. The movement was fluid. Probing the claw frame will take 30 minutes. The green light comes on then. Don't worry. It will work automatically. If the red light comes, then reposition it manually. The voice of the man in the suit came. Can I move around freely during this half hour? He asked him not to go too far. He added, or else the undergrounders will see that there is no one, and they will destroy the machine. Undergrounders? You've never heard this name before. People who escaped from Tower Prison sought freedom. Twisted minds view pain as pleasure. He explained in a few words. If a normal person ate those red mushrooms, he would kill himself. But these people eat them. Dopamine in the brain skyrockets. The more pain, the more pleasure. If your eyelid twitches after hearing this, then Tower Prison is not heaven for them. That is why only normal people are locked up there. If you learn these skills, the tower will have no effect. Space people keep this secret up there. They don't let anyone know anything. With that, he fell silent, and you didn't ask any more questions. And with spiritual energy, he started going deeper into the dense forest. Poria cocos and Euporvia black-purple were looking for. The main ingredients of the foundation pill are quite old. Many spiritual herbs and plants were found on the way. Those two main ingredients were not found. What he got, some pills will refine. You will get points. You did not go empty-handed. In the blink of an eye, it became evening. 5 survivors will return soon. Autumn brain sentinels will appear if the oil goes deep. The man in the suit's warning came through his headphones with a heavy voice. Your energy cultivation stage was the only one. He could not afford to show arrogance. You started running in the direction of the transporter, but as they approached the landing point, a sharp, unpleasant, wriggling sound accompanied by wind entering the ears. All his nerves tensed instantly. Raised hand, switched headphones to microphone mode. He heard it. He wondered what sound it was. Yes, I am listening. His voice suddenly became deep. He sensed a seriousness he had never heard before. Don't go any closer. This sound is from the OAL brain nucleus. Your brain is buzzing. The transporter is in front. If we do not go ahead, then how will we go back to the space station? Move quickly. First, confirm its location. It is not dark yet, even if it is very close. Then he will not actively attack. Gritting teeth carefully. Wood's edge brain shape, semi-monster transporter, twisted wrapped transporter, countless on top. There is an autopilot in the transporter. He can return on his own. In the worst case, the pilot guides from outside. You will definitely get rejected. But rejection costs a lot of points. And if the mission fails, then there is a separate penalty. A very big law. Staring at the brain core that wasn't far away. Time passed, second by second. Evening slipped in. After 15 minutes, his voice finally came back. There are only two options. Survival is possible. How did you go underground? What was your task on the surface this time? He asked one after another. You instantly understood. Your eyes lit up. Use the exploration drill, isn't it? Its voice instantly became louder. The drill that you had deployed was not wrapped. No. Then what are you waiting for? Its voice came in the headphones. Gunji immediately put the drill on full power. Make a path below the surface. The pressure is mounting. 15 minutes remain. It's about to get dark. The alert in the earpiece cut off again. He knew. He made a face. Watching the progress of the drill, I cursed in my mind. He was watering and poured it all into the borehole. White steam rises instantly. The drill's overheating alarm finally went off. Autumn opened the brain core, and it ripped. Autumn's sentinels swelled in a tide like a black plague. In the blink of an eye, he reached the edge of the borehole. There was no time, so he made a firm decision. Spiritual energy instantly flooded the body. Forget the rope. You jumped straight into that second-meter deep pit. He jumped right in. The suit man's scream was muffled by the fall wind. You tried to slow yourself down by gripping your abdominal wall with your hands and feet. Those strange howls from above were getting closer. Those sentinels, like shadow creatures, were clinging to the wall and descending with a tap-tap sound. The heavy air smelled. All out? You instantly activated the blood-burning technique. You left the pit wall and fell like a meteor. Crack. Sound of bones breaking. Heavy landing on the ground. A sharp pain shot through his legs. He couldn't even climb the hill, but the howls from above were still coming down. You reached for your backpack in discomfort, pulled out medicinal herbs, and without stopping for a moment, he stuffed it all into his mouth. Spiritual energy. Along with the power of herbs, together they began to furiously wash away the wounds. The feeling in your feet came back slowly. 20 seconds. You forced yourself to stand up. Although every movement was extremely difficult, only then did he reach the mouth of the sentry shaft. It was just a step away, but the very next moment, it was as if an invisible wall stopped him. No matter how much noise he made, how much he struggled, he could not even get half a step from the shaft. There was no room for wasting time. You sat cross-legged, healing yourself with spiritual energy, and somehow managed to hold out until the early hours of the next day. Finally, they could barely move. There were two things to do: find water and find a way back to the surface. All the water they were carrying was used up cooling the drill. If they didn't replenish themselves, they wouldn't be able to find the monsters. Pale skin, slim figure appearance, strange dozens of tiny nails, polished iron hooks. Sinister feeling undergrounder's pleasure, forced smile softly. Water spreads instantly. Take it to the proface. She got stunned and finally remembered. Yes, I had to go to the surface. Sorry, I had forgotten. You saw she was barely able to stand. There was a suppressed fury, which she had nowhere to release. That hair was standing, looked back, looked at him, then saw dark, unfathomable galleries in all directions. Ahead, an unknown village of undergrounders. Behind, a dead end. No choice. Back, and finally took a step, following him to the stone house. The end. A middle-aged man stood there, wearing a black jacket. He has no wound on his body, quite different from those deformed subterraneans. He looked him up and down and smiled. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Jukfu. He was from that village, one could say. Do some research. I even worked on the space station. Hurry up. I have to get back to the surface. I have no other interest. Jukfu was fast asleep on the bed. He looked at the girl and said with a half smile, he didn't know the way back to the surface. He waited for it to wake up. He said it was pointless to wait. Her name is Jinglin. To reach her limits, she often goes without sleep for days. And she sleeps all day and night, sometimes even more. He said he would wait, nonchalantly. Hey, Don't you know that people on the surface cannot spend the night underground? He suddenly changed the subject, and the tone instantly became serious. If they stay too long, a curse is imposed. Just like our perception is completely inverted, and this curse is irreversible until someone undoes it. He understood. His eyes lit up, and he quickly explained what happens when the curse is applied. Eating, drinking, sleeping, which should be normal, becomes pure torture. The more you eat, the more the hunger increases. The more you thirst, the more you drink. The pain is intense. Premature, eating, drinking, sleeping, forcing happiness, enduring it just to avoid suffering. I'm not like them. I don't push the limits. Do you know why? Because if you keep doing that, sooner or later your vitality will be depleted. He gravely said that the perception of pain for us is related to the sensation of eating. It was 1,000 times more intense. You instantly understand that this can become an addiction. An addiction, extinction exactly. He shook his head vigorously. Anyone who falls into the curse suffers. He becomes addicted to extinction, commits suicide as soon as he is resurrected. Below is the reproduction allowed in the village, but the population is falling. He took a deep, desolate breath. Even with the resurrection, all of us Turanians are heading towards our end. Saying this, he looked at you again and invited you once again. Since you're bored anyway, come with me to the laboratory. It doesn't matter. You'll ultimately help. Joe quickly moved forward, turned around, and started towards his stone house. His eyes widened. He entered. The entire room was filled with instruments, flags, microscopes, alcohol burners, and numerous precision devices whose names we didn't even know. This was a completely different world from the dilapidated underground village outside. How are you? It's not bad, isn't it? He said proudly. People of the town and even nearby villages contributed. उसने विद्युत और जलविद्युत शक्ति पर शोध किया. प्रयोग में उसने 500 मीटर ऊंचाई परिवर्तन को मापा. Plod hoy, you disappeared. Bank. A massive impact passed through. Jukfu flew like a shattered kite and hit the infrasonic wave detector. The instrument instantly shattered. Laboratory Taba. He fell to the ground. You will feel that this is the result of your actions just then. The sound of footsteps came from outside. Someone shouted, "Brother, are you okay?" "Yes, I am fine." The experiment table fell down accidentally. "Continue working." Jukfu immediately replied. The sound of footsteps went away. He told you. How much time does it take to flow underground? He honestly said that it would take 2 or 3 days. He just heard the voice of the curse. This time might be even shorter. It is difficult to say how little there is. It depends on each person's constitution. He stopped talking nonsense. He simply woke up. I concentrated my spirit by batting cross-legged, gathered energy, and instantly entered a state of inner vision. Meticulously examine every anomaly of your body. Zukfu was nervous. He stood aside. He didn't even dare to breathe. The state of inner vision lasted only 10 minutes. His eyes suddenly opened wide. A chill ran through his entire body. There wasn't much time left. You looked at Jugfu with a tone that couldn't hide its sharpness. Thanks to your experiment, the curse will be fully effective in 10 hours. I'll have to go back to the surface right now. Hearing this, Jufu was stunned. He looked down at the watch. It was 4 o'clock. He quickly composed himself. If you leave now, you will reach the surface by 9 to 10 p.m. Autumn Brain Sentinel will surely meet you on the way. But dying at the hands of a sentinel is better than being cursed. At least it allows revival. It was not a dead end. He stood upright. एक बिना छुपा खतरा उजागर हुआ, जिसने गंदे प्रयोगशाला खेल को शुरू किया. Don't want to make any mortal a human shield. Just keep showing him the right path. That's your only job. Zhugfu instantly understood Kivert. His eyes widened. Brother, are you an immortal cultivator? You didn't answer. His footsteps became faster. Go slower. Friend. Zhugfu was behind, not daring to stop for a moment. And it was just me venting a little. You hit me. I couldn't keep quiet, was I? You were speechless after hearing him. You were on the space station before. You're so clever. Then how did you get cursed and get stuck underground? Sufu's ex. This curse turned out to be 100 times more complicated than he thought. And suddenly, more than 100 years had passed underground. You looked at him and folded your hands in a genuine bow. Whatever your original intention, devoting 100 years to researching how to break the curse. I respect you for that. It's me. A lighting device immediately lit up. The face of the elf appeared in the darkness, with iron nails hanging down. It gave you a servile smile. Sukshu's eyebrows immediately furrowed. Elf, why are you following? The surface is full of autumn brain sentinels. Never mind life. Juicing has affected me. I need to be on the surface within 5 hours at most, or it's all over. What a situation. He chose an instant stunt. It's a long story. I'll tell you when I get back. I did not waste their time. Straight to the point. All that remains to be done is to avoid the brain's autumn core. He reached the tugboat safely. He warned them not to go to the surface yet. He arranged for someone to help. As soon as he said this, the earpiece went silent. It seemed as if he had run to make arrangements. Sue, who had heard everything clearly, let out an involuntary sigh. Now the space station does the same to its personnel. The tug hasn't returned yet. When I was a pilot, if it exceeded 8 hours, they would automatically kick out. The person communicating with me is not from space station control. You explained it indifferently. I'm not even an official tug pilot. They have their own channels to the surface. Wow, brother. You are well set at the station. He immediately changed the subject. He heard a raindrop-like sound in the lab. What exactly was that? It was a magnetic wave, Jupuna explained. A normal human ear does not perceive it instantly. My equipment converted it to edible frequency. That is why you listened. Now I am 100% certain. This ubiquitous magnetic wave is the source of underground change, you said with some resignation. So all this drama was just to verify this. In scientific research, one has to rely on facts. If it is not verified, then we cannot move even an inch forward, he said with full conviction. You wait for a moment. They reached it. Just then, Chao Jin's voice came through the earpiece again. Do you hear me? We've adjusted the satellite surveillance. We'll get the precise location and position of the tugboat. How to escape the sentries is up to you. Understand, double take. Relayed and briefly explained the reason. A few seconds of silence on the line. Then Chao. The reply came. We can help, but we need to see the real results. Apart from the research data, we also need some special objects from underground so that it does not look useless. Okay? No problem. Jufu instantly agreed and added, and I need long-term communication from you. A communicator can be arranged. We will have to consult the database of the space station. This will speed up the investigation a lot. For an ordinary civilian, reaching the watchful ice of Centris by boat was a farce.